Hey y'all, welcome back to the show. Okay, we have officially fucked around and found out. Trump has only been in office for a week and it has gotten ghettoer and ghettoer each and every day. So whether you voted for him or you didn't vote, you sat this one out. We are now living in the reality of a Trump era that will more than likely continue to shake some tables. So buckle up, bitch, because this shit is about to get extremely fucking weird. Excuse my language. So, let's talk a little bit about the transition to DEI program cuts in the military. These diversity programs aren't just some fluffy ideas. They're about making sure that all service members, black, LGBTQ, women feel seen, heard, and valued. So when you cut them, you're not just cutting programs, you're cutting real opportunities for inclusivity. But what do these cuts really mean? We're talking about halting programs that help military personnel from underrepresented groups get promotions, leadership positions, and equal treatment. These programs were built to make sure everyone, regardless of race or gender, had the same shot at success. And now, with one stroke of a pen, that's all in jeopardy. So, let me back it up a little bit. The thing that I think we forget, or the thing that we don't realize, is that the reason why these DEI programs exist is because black people, underrepresented people, I'm going to start with black people, is because black people and women were not being chosen for leadership positions or for technically sound jobs. They just were not. They were considered to be stupid. Okay, it's not a secret. The military was racist. The army served separately. There were white soldiers and there were black soldiers serving in the same U.S. Army. Okay, let me give you a little history lesson real quick. The Tuskegee Airmen were formed in 1941, and their achievements helped challenge racial segregation and discrimination in the military. However, segregation in the military was not officially ended until 1948, when President Harry S. Truman signed Executive Order 9981, which desegregated the U.S. Armed Forces. This order came after the war, and while the Tuskegee Airmen's success during World War II was significant in demonstrating the capability of African American service members, it was not until Truman's executive order that segregation was formally abolished in the military. So, do you hear what I'm saying? The Tuskegee Airmen was formed in 1941, and that was only formed because there was like the last resort because of the demands of World War II. So get all the black guys, round them up, teach them something because we don't have any other option. That's how that came about. This is not some DEI initiative. This is history. This is showing how black men and black people were seen as substandard, as less than, incapable of doing the same thing that their white counterparts could do or were doing with no evidence other than racism. Understand that as we're talking about DEI, understand what's happening. The U.S. military initially resisted the idea of training African American pilots, believing that they were not fit for combat duty. The U.S. Army Air Forces reluctantly established a training program for black pilots at Tuskegee in response to pressure from civil rights groups and African American leaders. Okay, so had there not been any pressure, the Tuskegee Airmen probably would have never even come to be, or not in 1941. It probably would have happened years later. So before we start talking about DEI and people who are getting, this merit based bullshit, no, we need to dig a little deeper and ask ourselves, well, what happened before this whole DEI push? What happened before this whole wokeness push? You have to understand history in order to understand where we are today. Before President Harry S. Truman signed this order, the military maintained segregated units for black and white soldiers throughout much of its history, including during both world wars. Black soldiers were often relegated to support roles such as cooks, laborers, and stevedores, and their units were typically commanded by white officers. I mean, like, really, what are we really even talking about? And now all of a sudden, we forget all of this, and now we eliminate the thing that is put in place to defend equality. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about Target. In the wake of all these national moves, let's turn our attention to the retailer who has now rolled back its stance on DEI. So, why didn't Target push back? Why did they fold under pressure? That's something that we can explore here. Target had a real chance to stand up for their LGBTQ and BIPOC employees and customers, but now we're just seeing them play it safe. Why is that? What does that say about Target's commitment to diversity? Okay. So, with all of the chaos happening in the world, let's talk about the call for boycotts. Now, I've been seeing this all over my timeline from Tabitha Brown to Essence to random influencers talking about, and random everyday people talking about, well, I'm not going to be shopping at Target. Other people are saying, don't not shop at Target, just support the brands that are there. So some are saying to boycott places like Target as a way to protest their recent actions. But here's the thing. What's the alternative? Boycotting Target might feel like the right thing to do, but we need to ask, can we afford to lose these spaces where black owned brands are thriving? Some of these brands, this is their big break. Because here's the truth, boycotting, especially when it comes to black owned businesses, could hurt the very people we're trying to protect. Black culture has won historic victories through mainstream platforms like Target, where Black entrepreneurs have been able to expand their reach. So, do we take a step back in solidarity, or do we continue to support these businesses even when the corporate powers that be are pulling back? So, what's the bottom line here? Whether it's the military, Target, or federal spending, we're facing a lot of decisions. There's a lot to think about as we navigate this new reality under Trump's leadership. The question remains, how do we fight back? Do we boycott? Do we buy black? How can we hold corporations accountable without hurting the people we're trying to protect? I'll leave that to you to figure out. But one thing is for sure, this era is not going quietly, and it's up to all of us to decide how we respond. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, stay woke and stay ready.